What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with...
Go! Get to the chopper!
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another video. Diablo 3 Season 28. This is a GR130 speed guide for the Tal Rasha Meteor Wizard. We've just cleared a rift in under 3 minutes. Map was nice, it wasn't perfect. I think we can get this time down a little bit, but I want to push up a little bit. So yeah, 130, 3 minutes. Obviously we are using nearly 1800 Paragon. The gear is not quite perfected yet. So again, I think there is some time to come off this, but I want to kind of push up a bit from here. Before we do jump in and have a little look-see, as always guys, thumbs up brightens my day. Subscribe if you're interested in Diablo 3 content. We're going to keep pumping the videos out. Season 28 has just been like an absolute blast so far, an awful lot of fun. Right, so the Tal Rasha Wizard, we're going to take 5 pieces. That is gloves, helm, chest, belt and trousers or pants. We are going to, of course, work in Nilf's Boast. Very important to get this modifier up to the 900% because for single target Rift Guardians, for finishing off single target little minions to get the extra progress orb, having the 900% or close to it is going to do you a favour. Obviously this piece is not orged, so I've got a little bit of gas to get on there. Weapon wise, you can take either the smouldering core or the Grand Vizier on the character. It is easier to get a nicer Grand Vizier because I think the smouldering core defaults with a socket. Basically this stacks up to 500% damage to smouldering core, so it does take a little bit of time to ramp up. You'll notice at the start when you start hitting something, it doesn't hit that hard. After you've clocked it a few times, it will basically go up to 500%, and that is handy. It will also lure stuff to Meteor Impact, which is nice because we can use that with Black Hole Absolute Zero to try and bump our damage up. I'm not the best at playing this, I still haven't quite mastered it yet, but you can get an absolute boatload out of damage out of the fact that the smouldering core will attract enemies, and your black hole again also can kind of like vortex in a little bit and increase your damage. The Grand Vizier, of course, reduces the arcane power cost on Meteor and gives us a huge damage increase, so that is pretty nice. And then rounding us out for damage, we're going to take an Orgild set, so extra damage, extra elite damage, damage reduction against elites, which is very nice. We've got a squirt. We're going to try and keep the shield up the whole way. We are playing the cold rune on Meteor, so we have got cold on our squirt's necklace. The shield is not always up. There is an argument for maybe knocking the GRs down 1 or 2 to be a bit more consistent with the shield and maybe get faster runs. But the fact that we can do 130 in like this 3 to 5 minute range, 2.5 minutes on like an absolutely perfect map, and I guess maybe 4 minutes, on a really crappy one, something like that. It is kind of handy. Convention of Elements, or huge damage on cold. If you are interested in trying to maximize your nukes, then the cycle before cold is actually arcane. Around about now, you'll be looking to maybe get yourself into position so you are DPSing the whole way through your convention cycle. Again, I'm quite poor at that. I need to get better. We've got the Zystone of Vengeance, so the further away we are, the more damage we do. So again, ideally you're far away when you're nuking on your cold cycle. Sometimes that's easier said than done. You do a bit of freezing to keep enemies in place, but this is a nice thing to try and get as much damage out of as you can, but you don't have to sweat it too much. Bane of the Powerful for more elite damage, more damage once you've killed your first pack. And then the Bane of the Trapped, again, just for the kind of damage increase against control impaired effects. So just stuffing damage. Last modifier in the cube, Mempo of Twilight. We get Meteor Shower, and looks really nice on the screen. Huge big 400% damage increase on there as well. And of course, a Rogue in the cube to make up the bonuses. Halo of Carini, try and get near 80%. This makes a massive difference. A crappy one of these at 60%. Is nowhere near as effective. It's literally huge.
That's what she said.
Taking only 20% of the damage you're supposed to, as opposed to say 40% of the damage. As you can see, it's kind of like doubling your toughness, moving from 60% on this roll up to 80%. So this is quite a nice one for me. Obviously, I'd like it to be ancient. I'd like it to have crit, and area damage, or crit, and damage. So again, this is another piece to improve. Same for the convention. I've got area damage on it. If it was, in fact, an ancient one, maybe we would just roll straight damage. It's mad to think I'm nearly 1800 Paragon, and this is the best convention that I've found for this build. So we will press on. Meteor damage and crit chance on your helm, meteor damage on your boots, cold and crit on bracers, cold double crit on your amulet. Now, my amulet's not very good. There's an argument that I shouldn't have augmented it, because really missing that 10% crit chance is pretty handy. It's pretty big source of damage, but I've not had great RNG on the wizard so far, and I just thought we'll go for it. We're trying to get 130 solo speeds in 2-3 minutes, because that means I can solo Paragon farm if I can't find myself a group. Other than that, area damage on shoulders, double crit area damage is what I like on the gloves. Again, we're kind of a juicy map full of lots of density. It's going to be our friend here with the area damage, damage percent, and intelligence on your weapon. It's going to be super handy. Right, I think that covers all of the stats on the gear. We've got Black Hole, absolute 0. Enemies within 15 yards take weapon damage and are drawn towards the black hole. That's the kind of vortex effect I talked about. But you get 3% increased damage for 10 seconds. You can stack this quite high. It can get up to like 20 or 30 on that stack. So times by 3%, that could be 60 to 90% damage. A lot of the time, it's difficult to get this above 4 or 5 stacks. It's a bit of a question. Again, I'm trying to learn how to play the build efficiently. Is it worth saving to make sure that you get a big group of mobs to get their higher damage, or is it worth popping it off more frequently just to make sure that you're getting some extra damage? That's debatable, but obviously, again, your ideal clear time is going to be density, because you're going to get this figure juiced up a lot. Meteor, Comet, we've got the freeze on impact, which is nice. Obviously, Bane of the Trap activation, and the cold does an awful lot of damage. We've got Familiar Sparkflint. This is our source of fire damage. So we've got cold here for these two, fire for this one. So this is our second Tal stack. Uses 10% damage. You only really have to pop this once per rift, because it lasts for 10 minutes. Storm Armor, Power of the Storm. I've got this on for the arcane power reduction. I think it might be better to do reactive armor, simply because that would mean that we get more uptime, I think, on the Carini. I think this one activates the storm armor, like lightning damage, more often. So that's something to try, but in the footage I have been playing with Power of the Storm. The reactive armor could well be the way to go on that, but this is our lightning source of damage, and that's our third stack. Teleport Calamity, we get this fourth stack here. We deal arcane damage, and that is how we complete our Tal Rasha stacks. Once we've got them activated, they never drop, so we should have 4 stacks the whole rift. Magic Weapon Deflection, 10% increased damage, boosters up a pretty chunky shield once we're dealing damage. Pairing that with Galvanizing Ward, it gives us tremendous uptime on our squirts. Basically, if we've got Carini up, if Power of the Storm has procced it, you'll be almost indestructible with your shield, but Wizard Toughness can be a bit janky. If your Carini drops, you're going to feel it. 80% damage reduction gone. It's going to hurt at 130. Power Hungry, synergizing with the Zai, so more damage further away you are. Audacity, just in case something teleports right on top of you or gets up close and personal, more damage. And then Elemental Exposure, I think theoretically at 4 stacks this is 20% damage. I don't know how often we're getting this up. Obviously it's at least 5% damage if you're just hitting with cold. If your Sparkflint is hitting it, then that's 10% damage. If you are within range when you teleport and it takes arcane damage, that's 15. Another option would be 10% more damage from cold-blooded. I played with this for a little bit. It seems as though most people are using elemental exposure on the boards, but that's maybe more for the star pack room, where you can definitely make sure you're getting all your 4 stacks and then maybe dropping a nuke. So again, that's another one that I'm a little bit unsure of. We have left off Unstable Anomaly, and that is because the follower is taking the cheat death for us. Again, I'm not sure on attack speed on this. I don't think it gets us up to a breakpoint. Again, it might well do. If it does, then you probably want to be playing speeds with a cheat death. I mean, there's no downside in terms of the XP loss this season, but you will lose a gem up. So I'd probably get rid of Audacity if I was to dump any of the passives, because 15 yards is not the biggest radius in the world. But again, something to consider. Follower has got the energy pool. Again, no idea when this goes off, but it is a bit of extra damage. Amplification, again, I don't quite have her up to 25k intelligence, so we can get a little bit more damage out of this, 10% basically on our cold element damage. Flavor of Time, of course, for double pylon duration. Nemesis to get the elites off the pylons. Gloves of Worship to make our shrine bonuses last longer when we pop our potions. And then an Oculus, just an 85% one, is handy. So in terms of playstyle, you can, if you just simply want to make sure that you're holding down Meteor and say, Pretty Meteor, go Blast, that's absolutely fine. If you're looking to try and really maximize things, you're jumping into your triune circles, you're going pretty much for the pink one, which is the damage. Then next is your Oculus Circle, which is the yellow one, which procs off the follower, 85% damage in there. You're trying to get as many mobs tagged with Black Hole, again, sending your damage up maybe 30%, 40%, something like that. Trying to keep an eye on your Storm Armor. I do find if you stand still in one spot, it has more of a tendency to drop off. A little bit of teleport in and out, a little bit of teleport further away to get more damage on your eyes. They're the kind of things you're looking for, but obviously there's a lot of things to actively manage. If you just want to turn your brain off and just hold down the button, that's fine too. We've taken armor gems in the chest and in the pants because it just rounds out our toughness more. We get more value out of these armor gems than we do by adding in topazes for more damage. And in the Paragon, I've actually snuck 1600 points into vitality just to pump our life pool up and make my shield a little bigger. Max arcane power. Again, maybe I could sacrifice these points. I use this in the bounty build to generate as much arcane power as possible. If, of course, you're doing a star pack build, you will, of course, want max arcane power. But for the cold one, maybe it's not quite as important. But I've just left it in with move speed maxed out and then the rest in vitality. That is it. Now, obviously, we're missing 1, 2, 3 augments and a slightly better amulet. Once I get those things cleaned up, once we get past 2k Paragon, the time should only get better. And it may well be that we can actually maybe tweak it up another couple of rifts. If we can get our main stat up to like 30,000 by the end of the season, then we would be potentially doing like 135s. The gems are like 140, so there's not that much more growth in those, another 10 levels each. The Bane of the Powerful doesn't really matter what level it is. A level 25 or 41 works pretty much the same as a 150. You'll find elite packs within 2 minutes doing speed. The whole rift's only going to last 3 to 4 minutes max, so rank 84 is absolutely fine, no problemo. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the footage in the background. We did get double primal drops on back-to-back rifts. Maybe I'll clip those at the end if they didn't make it into the footage. Yeah, so this is it. This is solo XP farm. I think I've probably got enough Paragon to try and get up and clear 150. It's absolutely nuts that at some point in the future we might be doing a solo 150 speed farm build, because if we could get up to like 3,000 or 4,000 Paragon points across the season, get some really baller gear like this, get it all augmented up, then yeah, we could be solo 150ing speed farming, which is nuts. And the Paragon will then just go whoosh to the moon. So yeah, we'll continue to work on it. But yeah, that's it. Wizard, really powerful, most powerful build in the game, I think, for solo XP. So this is the XP meta, I think, for solo players. Yeah, and like this is achievable casual wise because 1800 Paragon by the end of the season. I think if you put even just a modicum amount of time in, you will get there, because this is just so powerful. The Paragon points just flow like water. You don't have to play XP barbs, EDH or whatever to build them up, but of course grouping in 4-man, 4-player will of course help you out. That has been the guide. I've been the Filthy Casual. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you again real soon. Take it easy, guys. Peace.
Great success.